Oh yeah, because it totally worked out last time when the Montreal Canadiens grabbed a center from Chicago. Eh? Okay. Maybe not every situation is going to turn into Kirby Doc 2.0, but I wanted to take a look at this name right here, and whether or not the Montreal Canadiens could be interested. Today, we are talking about 23-year-old Chicago Blackhawks center winger Lukas Reichel, who is in a pretty interesting spot for Chicago. Before we dive into the updates, before we dive into whatever articles go out there and talk about this subject, let's dive into the player profile for the 23-year-old German. 6 feet, 170, winger center, left-handed guy, signed on till the end of this upcoming season, making $1.2 million a year. He's been making $1.2 million a year for the past season, so this is his first contract after his ELC. Lukas Reichel was a former first-rounder by Chicago in the 2020 NHL Draft. He, alongside of Tim Stützle, set the market for German guys getting drafted back in 2020. And alongside of course, Moritz Seider in 2019, JJ Peterka a little bit later, and I guess you could say Leon Draisaitl from a decade ago in 2014, these are the faces of German NHL players at the moment. And Lukas Reichel is in a pretty good spot because when he was drafted in 2020, this guy was playing in a full-on pro men's league. He was at half a point a game for Eastbayern Berlin, which is a really good number for a 17, 18-year-old, and he just kind of got better. In the DEL, getting a few more points in a few fewer games, and then inevitably becoming a point-per-game stud in his first season with the Rockford Ice Hogs in North America. Lukas Reichel is skilled, he is dynamic, he had very good first-round upside, and inevitably got to a point where, with the Chicago Blackhawks last year, he had 22 points in 70 games played. Minus 16, 8 goals, was over a point per game for Team Germany at the Worlds, and even though this is it's a kind of an okay point production metric, you can say that you would probably have expected a bit more, especially when you consider the point-per-game status he has been at in the AHL, the fact that he's already played 2 other seasons with Chicago. This number, 22 points in 70 games, it's not the best. This is the scouting report for Lukas Reichel over here. He is an unrelenting forechecker and backchecker, never gives up on a play, and wins battles through second efforts. Reichel is a pretty capable puck handler too, even at top speed carrying the puck through a defender's triangle, showing a predilection. Thanks, Elite Prospects, for tossing out vocabulary that I'm not able to familiarize myself with. But he shows a predilection for outside-in maneuvers and deploying weight shifts to avoid contact. Reichel was a very good offensive forward, and you can say he has the potential to become even better. If you go over to the scouting report and the draft rankings, some folks were ranking him in the top 20, like Bob McKenzie. Some folks were ranking him in the second round, like Elite Prospects. They had him at 43. So ultimately, he did go a little bit earlier than he might have been projected to at 17th overall. But the Blackhawks really did like this player, and now we're talking about the idea of trading him. Why is that? Well, let's head over onto an article posted on HabsFanatics.com by L. Hoynen. Let's go out there and see this. The Blackhawks are listening to offers on a talented young forward who could be a fit for the Habs. Scrolling down here, it's a tweet made by NHL Rumour Report. The fourth period said this about Lukas Reichel earlier this month. The teams have been calling about Reichel, and the Blackhawks have been listening. Chicago is looking to package assets for immediate upgrades. Then we see some of the replies. I'd offer Yarncrow for Reichel. Robertson would look great in their top 9. Bertuzzi, don't, we'll take him. They should package 98 for Quinn Hughes. That's Bedard for Quinn Hughes. Okay, that's interesting. Justin Hall for Reichel. I hate it, I love it. Reichel for Janmark in a third. A lot of folks going out there and talking about Lukas Reichel. I'd say that he's a decently hot commodity around the NHL and its communities. But if we scroll back down into this article, this piece actually talks about Mike Matheson, and it implies that, oh, this could be a good trade for the Canadiens. That's exactly what the Hawks seem to be looking for. Reichel, 23, 6 feet, 170, 17th overall guy, 54 points in 169 career NHL games. In the AHL, he's been very good. If we're talking about immediate help like Matheson for Chicago, I personally think they would need to add a bit more. I believe Matheson currently holds greater value than Reichel. Now, I don't want to dive too deep into the Matheson thing. I do think it's reasonable for Chicago to add maybe a little bit extra if they were to send over Reichel for Matheson. Matheson's a catch after all. This guy had 60 points in the NHL just 2 seasons ago. But ultimately, I wanted to focus more so on the addition of Reichel and what he could be. I don't want to say he's like guaranteed bona fide second-line center material at the moment, but if you take a look at his role in Chicago, he wasn't really being given that much ice time. He had a bunch of 9-minute games throughout the course of the year, some 12, some 13, some 14-minute games, but for the most part, Lukas Reichel was not very utilized. And despite the fact that he does have this relentless forechecking ability and some skill that was able to net him a point-per-game presence in the American Hockey League, the Chicago Blackhawks just don't really have him in any sort of a good spot. I mean, even right now on their team, they don't have him listed on Daily Faceoff. They've got Frank Nazar III as the second-line center, Ilya Mikheyev and Jason Dickinson on the third line, and Sam Lafferty as the fourth-line center. Lukas Reichel isn't even included on their forward core, so it makes sense to me why this team is now all of a sudden thinking about, oh yeah, we could probably shop him. Like, this is a valuable first-round caliber asset in Reichel. Teams are asking about him. We're not really using him. So is there a trade to be had here? Now, for what it's worth, I know some folks would panic a little bit if the Canadiens were to make some sort of a swing for Reichel and then immediately thrust him into second-line center duty. They'd say, oh, this is kind of like Kirby Dach. I mean, the guy isn't really progressing all too much. Hold your horses, folks. The thing is, Kirby Dach was getting hurt every few months. Lukas Reichel has just not really been given ice time. I mean, you can even look at the comparison here. I have it up on Elite Prospects, Reichel versus Dach. When you consider the fact that Kirby Dach was outscoring Reichel for a good chunk of these guys' NHL development, that's all of a sudden taken a big halt by the time you get to the 22, 23-year-old seasons, where Kirby Dach only played 2 games in 23-24 at 22 years old. Lukas Reichel had almost a full season, and he had 22 points in 70 games. Now, Dach did the same amount of points in fewer games the next season at 23 years old, but Lukas Reichel is yet to have that season played for him, so we'll see if he's able to best out his own personal records as well. So, ultimately, I don't think it's that bad. I do think there would be some risk if you were to thrust Reichel right into second-line center duty immediately. But I do think this guy is due for a little bit of a raise in ice time. I think he's young enough and he's good enough where you could justifiably say he's got potential to do more. I mean, back when he was drafted, I think we were thinking that Reichel could be at best like a 55, 60-point player. Center, winger, you could throw him anywhere, and he could actually be versatile and hard on the forecheck. I like Reichel a lot, but I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this overall player, and do you think he would be an appropriate addition for Montreal? Chicago? Montreal? Trade? Yay or nay? Is this Kirby Dach 2.0? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.